after morning. Welcome into twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day, and I can see iLotus UK in the chat and a Timeless Soul in the chat. And that's good because we're joined by the man that we call Bibby. I'll read Bib.
Good after morning, Graham. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. And Viv's here as well. All right, Treacle. All right, darling. How you doing, love? How you doing? Nice to be here for my first scoop of the week.
Yeah.
Actually, it looks like I'm mounted on a monitor arm because the low profile wave mic arm for my microphone. It looks like it's clipped into the bottom of the box that I'm on. Yeah, I'm on a TV that baby can just move around. Yeah, let's go. How's things, baby? All right?
Yes, I am going good, Graham. It's been a busy morning so far. Sorting out some scheduling stuff. Working towards some ICU stuff.
Ooh.
Conversations had this morning.
Ooh, exciting.
So yeah, it's been a busy morning.
It is pretty exciting for those that don't know, which is everyone, because we haven't told anyone anything. We do have some. We are working on some cool things for the ICU community. Obviously, let me change my lighting behind me. I can see it's turned pink, which might be what's breaking the green screen effect a little bit. A little bit, yeah. It's kind of fixed it, So yeah, we have some cool stuff in the works. We did also start a conversation the other day in the Discord just to see what people thought, because a lot of people have been like, ICU summer meetup, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
And we've been like, yeah, let's do that, yeah. But then not really planned anything. So we've started to have a conversation on whether that is something that could potentially happen maybe later on in the year. And it could be ish, but something like an ICU community meetup. Obviously, if you're getting we are a business, so we don't want people to come along to a half-assed event. We do social media, esports, events, and things like that. So if people came along and it was a bit crap, then we'd look a bit crap. So we'd want to make it be good, which obviously that requires snacks and drinks, maybe some pizzas. And then we're thinking about maybe a barbecue, or maybe a barbecue with foodie bits and stuff. And do you know what? Maybe we have the stream on for the full day. And if we're going to have the stream on, we're going to have people in. We're going to need to have some extra play area. So we're going to have to set up an offline, not an offline, a LAN sort of setup off stream so that people can play in and take part in the stream. And we'll probably make it so that people can jump in and out. So that's where we're going. And then instantly, from a business perspective, obviously we do this because we enjoy this stuff, but from a business perspective, all you can do is like ka-ching as the register is just tilling everything up. So we have realized to do something like that, it would cost a chunk. However, you guys support our channel. So that is where we are in terms of our content and stuff. So yes, we are looking into it. Nothing has been confirmed yet. We have some loose dates that we are examining, but we will let you know. We'll let you know if we do an ICU summer meetup with food and stuff. Hopefully we can do that. And hopefully it's all good. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Lake says no spam. I see. No. 1:37 in the day. Spam should be eaten hours ago. I mean, this is the time where you go back to Tesco and you get another tin just in case. Yeah. Chasing meat with peeps. Oh, look, I've got my grill back again, baby. Yeah.
It tickled me, that.
So you can see, if you're watching this on the video stuff, when you've got a green screen, certain colours get picked up. Either my teeth are white, and that's a compliment, or they're green, one or the other. Lovely spam, oh wonderful spam.
I don't hear any of this, so I just take it as a given that someone's used exclamation mark spam and the spam noise is playing in the background.
Oh no, there was no noises playing. I just like spam.
Okay. Great style.
So anyway, yeah. Either I've got white or green teeth, one or the other. So it looks like I've got a grill on my mouth. Maybe realised it. They clipped it and sent it me. So we decided to go with rap names like Dr. Day and G Unit and all that stuff. G, not Jay-Z. But anyway, so down the pub for a few Swifties then. Yeah, I mean, well, that was hopefully going to be part of it anyway. So we were talking about, like, we were doing ICU community meetup. We'd come to the Ice Cream Uploads studio, which is obviously part of the Jelly Media offices. And then we'd do some barbecue-ish sort of stuff, which requires probably some sort of gazebo because we don't have covering on the outside area. And you know what it's like. You make plans in the UK, even though it's mid-August, it's going to piss it down. So and then after all of that, we were talking, oh, well, if people are up for it, we could go into Blackpool for a little bit of an ease up. We'll see. We'll see. Barbecue spam, 100%. That is happening. That is happening. If spam want to get involved, oh, go on then. Go on then. Cranberry juice, Sergeant Angel.
No thanks.
Tito says payday tomorrow. Got my pay slip yesterday. Oh, is this your first payday as a millionaire then, Tito?
Absolutely.
Oof. Nice. Tandoori hot incoming. Tandoori.
Oh, the fuck me, arrogant chicken. There we go. That's it. I literally have my monster on it, the coaster.
So what?
The tandoori hot was the last one that we had.
Oh no, I missed it. I wondered where that was come from. Lotus has said I'm still waiting for my jerky. There we go. Please no. There we go. I'm back up to speed. I was like, what's this? What is this?
What is on this?
Tesco sounds like a gas station. Esso. Yeah, kind of. So you're saying a few tinnies on stream and then 2p machines. I mean, when in Blackpool.
Absolutely.
I mean, not tinnies. They can be quite expensive these days. We'll just get some spice. Blackpool, get some spice and some 2p machines. Just stagger around the streets for 4 hours. Jobs are good. That's the plan. No, baby's falling into a hedge again. Fuck's sake.
Luckily, there's none outside.
Oh, that's my Slack. I've just heard it. Let me kill my Slack.
Did mine catch you off guard yesterday? By the way.
I actually had you on kind of quiet because obviously I was in the room with the dog whilst Danielle was doing the training stuff. So I had you on the TV, but I had to keep it low down so it didn't go back through the thingy. So I missed like half of what was being said, and they're going, "What? Shut up, dog!"
Yeah, I was hoping that. Well, I left my Slack open, so all you heard is "shut." And I was like expecting you just to be there, like, what the fuck? Who's sending me a message?
Who's sending me a message at the other side of the room? I mean, it's bad when I'm watching it on and I've got my headset on because then it's like, yeah, that's me. But when it's like on the TV, the other side of the room, I'm like, who else has got Slack? Who's this? My deductions were 2/3 of my usual salary. Ooh! For those that missed it, Tito went from being just a millionaire to a billionaire. Last month. Well, this month is his first month as a billionaire. So he wanted to be a billionaire so freaking bad. Now he can buy all the things he never had. Oh yeah. Okay, we'll better prepare for the scoop introduction. My name is Graham Day. Welcome into twitch.tv/Ice Cream Applause. I'm joined by Bibbe. We are ice cream in true ice creamy fashion. This is the Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, if we do say so ourselves. We are here to give you our thoughts and our impressions on the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games. But it's not just our thoughts and impressions. We want to hear your thoughts and impressions, and then your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. So please do feel free to get involved in the chat. We do go live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. ish. It's not 10 a.m. It's almost 1:45 in the afternoon, but that's fine. That's what the ish emote is for. Anyway, please do feel free to get involved because we are live on Twitch, but the live stream does get turned into a podcast, a video on YouTube, and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud, and Google Play. So there's lots of places where over 130,000 people have watched and listened to this show on demand. So please do feel free to get involved on behalf of all of those beautiful people. They would appreciate it very, very much. Before we jump into the show, I want to remind you that on the first Monday of every month, we give one subscriber a prize. Subscribers win prizes. And that's actually an interesting one this time, because I'm just thinking about it. The first Monday of the next month is not until the 6th, which is a bank holiday.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, no, or is it? Maybe it isn't.
Because you're off next week, aren't you?
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Because we're off the Thursday or Friday.
That's what it is. Yeah, and because I'm off all next week, it's completely what my fragile man. Yeah, okay, it's not. The 6th isn't the bank holiday. Okay, forget that. Everyone go to work. Fuck.
Oh, God.
It's because I've got 9 days off in a row. I'm off like Friday, Saturday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or something like that. I've got like I can't fucking remember. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I think I'm off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, you get it. You get it. Whatever. Tito, 3 Lambos. Yes, exactly. 6th isn't, 2nd and 3rd are. That's the one. That's the one. Okay. In that case, then, exclamation mark loot drop on the 6th. You could bag yourself a prize. We haven't announced what it is, but in just under 2 weeks, we will be giving away a prize to 1 subscriber. All you need to do is be a sub to the channel on that day. Nice. As well as that, exclamation mark Astro, you can bag yourself one of these headsets by getting involved in our giveaways. We don't have one running yet, but rumour has it there might be one soon. Bum, 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 bum. Ad says go to work, don't go work. Go to work, but go to work. All right, Boris. Same, but different. Exactly. Ready for my prize, Kev? Thanks. Nice. It's going to be a big, massive prize. Do we know what it is yet, babe? Have we got anything big and massive to give away?
High five?
Crisp high five. The crispest of high fives that the world has ever seen. Whoosh.
Full-blown connections.
Yeah, like from the elbow and everything. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It says Bibby's in the studio. Is home? Nope, he's not. He's in the studio. There we go. Nice. Okay, Bib. Today's video game news.
Yes.
Apparently, this summer for video games is going to be dog shit. Oh, wait, actually, that's not what it says. That's not what it says. It does say something that's not quite that extreme at all. It says, Geoff Keighley says to expect fewer third-party showcases this summer. So the journalist claims many companies will put their content in Summer Games Fest and first-party shows. So basically, rather than having a video game showcase every 5 minutes like we had last year and the year before, expect a lot of eggs in the Xbox, the PlayStation, and the Summer Game Fest baskets. All of the eggs will be in that. So less conferences all over the place, more concise, bigger announcements. Interesting. Sticking with brands, first parties particular, former Xbox exec says he's scared of Game Pass's potential impact. This is written by Andy Robinson at VGC. That's the second story. So Game Pass should be feared, basically. Basically, it's big things. All right. Was that written by Tito? It looks like it might be written by Tito. Oh, interesting. Okay. Next up, moving over to a Nintendo-ish sort of world. Reggie Fils-Aimé discusses workplace abuse, delayed adoption of online play at Nintendo. So the former executive talks about some of the biggest topics in the games industry. And then finally, Capcom may revisit dormant games. And there are some famous names in its catalogue. That one is a pretty exciting story. Usually I'd put that a little bit earlier in, but I want to make sure that we jump on workplace abuse and things like that, like Reggie Fils-Aimé is talking in his speech. I don't want to finish on that, so we're saving the Capcom announcement to the end because it's all rumor and hearsay, nothing, but could be pretty exciting. So we'll jump on that one last. But for now, this is going to be something that will be a big part of our summer. If you haven't been around Ice Cream Uploads through the summer, we do watch the biggest shows within the games industry, and when we can, we do live watch-alongs too, live reactions of those. And do you know what? You'll be getting less of them this year just because we can't be no, it's not because we can't be asked. It's just because there will probably be less of them, as Andy Robinson at BGC has this article. Geoff Keighley says to expect fewer third-party showcases this summer. The journalist claims many companies will put their content in Summer Games Fest and first-party shows. Excuse me, 1 second. There we go. So journalist and presenter Geoff Keighley has said to expect fewer third-party digital showcases this summer as companies instead to opt to include content in events like his Summer Game Fest show. Last year, companies such as Capcom and Square Enix received a somewhat negative critical response to their own digital events, which fans felt contained fewer announcements than anticipated. Speaking during a Twitter Spaces audio session this weekend, Keighley said consumers should expect less third-party conferences this year, as those publishers with less content instead opt to participate in Summer Game Fest and first-party conferences such as the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase. Quotes, there were a lot of shows last year where everyone was disappointed when they weren't really press conferences, right? Like Take-Two, Capcom, Square Enix, and things like that, he said. Wow, we didn't mention Koch Media. That's interesting. I think, shout out to Koch, good people, but their E3 conference was not. was not. I think we can all agree on that. Quotes, I think they have learned that if you're going to do a press conference, you kind of need to have 30 minutes plus of stuff. And sometimes they only have 1 or 2 great games to show, which may not be enough to do a full event around, Keighley added. So I think that's going to be a bit of a shift. I have a pretty good sense of what's coming in the next month. And I think people will be hyped about games in general. There is still a lack of games coming out right now. This is kind of the COVID gap year, I think, with a lot of games being delayed because they were started during the pandemic. We're still hoping for a lot of things to come out. End quote. As previously announced, Summer Game Fest will kick off with a live cross-industry showcase on Thursday, June the 9th at 7 p.m. BST. It promised to showcase, quote, what's next in gaming with huge new game announcements, world premieres, special guests, and much more. During the Twitter chat, Keighley revealed that 15 plus guests will appear during the show and confirmed that this year's event will see members of the media go hands-on with some of the games featured. Okay, we can stop there. We don't just go into the spiel about the show. The show isn't, the conversation isn't so much about the Summer Game Fest itself, although that's what he was obviously angling at. I mean, Geoff Keighley has a vested interest in saying that the Summer Game Fest experience will be better than other things. But that's quite a big statement to make. There will be less third-party showcases this summer, so there will be no. We'll get the first-party shows from Xbox and probably some PC showcase. I know that's not first-party as such, but we'll have probably a PlayStation 1 too. But then after Summer Game Fest, there'll be less of the Square Enixes and the Capcoms and the Kochs as they opt to put their games into Summer Game Fest. Do you believe that? What are your thoughts, Bib?
No, I don't. Like, how does he know that? Like, we know he's obviously a well-connected person. And last year and the year before, over the last 2 years, obviously we've seen a lot of people moving towards their own production shows where they create their own content, they create their own showcases. And I agree, some of them weren't that great. I feel like they didn't really set the expectations that well, and maybe try to overhype it and then don't end up showing something of worth. Therefore, people would react negatively to it. And I agree with him with that sentiment. But it all obviously he wants to try and market the Summer Game Fest to the best of his ability and put his Summer Games Fest in the front window for people to go, do you know what? Actually, he would probably do a better job than we will, so we'll pay him however much it costs to advertise on this show, and let him do the job of showing our 2 games off, and we don't have to show the filler stuff. We'll probably just announce that on Twitter or any of the other social media platforms. But it's in his best interest to advertise his own show in the best light possible. Like you mentioned before, I do believe that given another chance, or given their experience of how to put on shows themselves. Like, a lot of these companies probably wouldn't have ever done anything like that before. They would have just thought, people love to see everything about Capcom. People love to see everything about Koch. We'll give them everything that we possibly can. And then it ended, like, the Koch one ended up being an hour and a half snooze fest. Like, they would have learned from that all the feedback that they would have got, including, like, from our streams, from everybody else who did watch-alongs, and then going to social media and having a look at what people was writing about that, about how long it was and how boring it was, and there wasn't enough content in there to keep people engaged. There was too much talking, too much dev time. All this stuff would have been great as something that could have just been put on YouTube, and then people who were super interested in that have a look at it later on. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just be giving us the key beats of what you want to tell us, that would have flown a lot better. All that stuff is experience, and it's stuff that people that might not have had any experience in doing before, they've just put a video package together. So given another chance, or given that they want to save as much money as possible during this COVID gap year, as mentioned in the article, for me, it still makes more sense for them to do their own. Like, let them beat their own drum, save as much marketing cost as possible, and just get someone who can direct and produce content for them behind the scenes, and then put a good show together. Like, again, I'll reiterate it, like you mentioned before, it's in his best interest to basically say these other companies didn't do so well in doing it, presenting their games to it. Let me do it for you is essentially what he's trying to say. Obviously, because he is a businessman, he wants to try and get as much money as possible. He wants to be the face of those video games and the announcement, so that when people do clip that content up, it goes on social media, his face is on it. He's a businessman. If that was our job, obviously we'd have our faces on there as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, he knows what he's doing with that stuff. He's a businessman.
I said
that 14 times.
Is he a businessman? I think he's a businessman.
He is a businessman.
I think what you're saying is flawed there. I don't feel like he would just be out pushing his own show. I feel like, I mean, if you wanted to watch a show, you'd watch The Scoop. That would, I mean, arguably, people aren't putting conferences and stuff out because The Scoop exists, and that is the best content. I mean, just objectively, not even my own subjective opinion, The Scoop is clearly the best bit of content in the world. And you should watch that all times over everything. I mean, obviously, I'm bullshitting.
It's infinitely better when next gen base come with forces with ICU. Do you know what I'm saying, Graham?
Yeah, exactly.
When worlds collide.
Pow, pow. No, yeah. Geoff is a journalist. He knows how to put a story together. He knows how to sell a narrative. And one of the narratives that he's selling there is, I mean, there probably is some truth in it, I think. Like Bibby mentioned about some of the conferences, Koch's. Sorry to pick on your Koch, but it was just the worst conference ever, and I didn't even do it. I was putting my room together as this was on, and I was listening to people that were having to suffer the Koch presentation. So I'm only suffering secondhand, and I know how bad it was. But like Bibby says, a lot of these brands will have learned. Actually, do you know what? Yeah. It's like going live on stream. You can spend hours, days, weeks, months putting your slates together, your scenes, getting your commands and stuff set up. You will start, and someone will go, "What about this?" And you're like, "Oh fuck yeah, that would have been yeah, all right, yeah, okay." So you make notes down and you go live next time, and it's great. And then at the end of the stream, someone goes, "Oh, you didn't do this," and you go, "Oh fuck yeah." So you put that in, and it's iterative. It gets better and better over time. Every time you do it, you get more experience. You become better at it. Job's good. That said, there was, and it's hard to pin down stats on this because there was all sorts of contrasting stats. If anyone does have access to any definitive stats, please do feel free to share. But I remember during the lockdown peak that brands were getting more return on investment, more bang for their buck for doing major streams. And that was like, okay, well, why am I spending money at going to E3? Which is actually,
it's not just a little bit of money either.
Yeah.
Like obviously we know it's a significant cost to their marketing budget. It's not a couple of £100. It's not a couple of £1,000. Believe me, it runs into the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, into the millions for some of the biggest ones as well. By the time you've paid for celebrity endorsements and like getting Keanu Reeves to rock up at the stage at the Xbox conference. In an arena that you've bought out separate to the fucking what?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So it does save you money to do your own broadcasts, and there was evidence that pointed towards that. However, there was also contrasting evidence that showed that if you were Xbox or Bethesda when they were separate, and you wanted to do your own conference, you would get shitloads more bang for your buck appearing in your own conference rather than going, oh yeah, let's talk about the next Skyrim release on the PS show. And obviously that's an Xbox conference title, but I'm just using different shows as an example. Why would I pay to have my product placed in a PlayStation showcase where Skyrim is going to be sat next to Call of Duty and is going to be sat next to FIFA and is going to be sat next to all these other things when I can just have my show and put it at the head and then have it come back to it a little bit later on if I wanted to, and it doesn't cost me as much money and I get massive viewership. However, the evidence was pointing out that the big first party stuff, the PlayStation and the Xbox showcase, and then some of the major ones like the EAs and things like that were doing great, but things like when you start to go down the pecking order, maybe down to like Devolver Digital. Obviously, that'll probably be a bit different now. It's owned by Epic, but Devolver Digital showcase didn't quite get the bang for the buck. It might not be Devolver, I could be wrong. But then when you go down to proper indie level, they weren't getting coverage. So that's where things like that are useful, because just having 2 minutes in an Xbox Game Pass segment and you show off Bibby Quest, where one man and his struggles against, I don't know, whatever, something Bibby narrative. I couldn't think of anything. I was trying to be clever there. I think it's about the fly, and I've just let us all down. God damn it! But no, that's the point. The Bibby Quest quest is the quest to find a good narrative. There you go. Ta-da! So one man trying to make a video game for Game Pass doesn't have a story. Will he get one in time? Like that sort of shit. So anyway, Bibby Quest would get some airing in the Xbox Game Showcase, which would actually give it big numbers. Yeah, it would only be a few minutes, but a few minutes, a little bit of something big is a lot better than a whole lot of nothing. And a little bit of something big is exactly what West gives you, ladies and gentlemen. And on that bombshell, West, thank you very much for the raid. Party of 28 in. Do you know what? If you've all just come in from West Stream and you've never had this, the pleasure of this before, listen.
Welcome to the stream. 50% egg, 50% shed. You know it as West.
Suck my Harry's. Yeah, you tell them all to suck your Harry's, West. Let's go. Mackenzie, welcome in, dude. Thank you very much for dropping the follow and getting involved in the chat. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oi, oi. I never get to raid you, love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I absolutely 100% told you that we were scooping just so that you could raid us and not because I was caring and just wanted to speak to you and stuff. It was entirely... No, I appreciate it. No, it wasn't. I was just, yeah, I love you. I love you. Thank you very much for the raid. Anyone that's dropped in from West Stream, I have been watching that stream for most of the afternoon. Ish. Watching is a phrase that I use loosely. I drop in and out. Usually on this screen is the gameplay that I have on. So I was watching West. When it gets spicy, that's when I look across. I did see West basically get pulled up on by 4 people and get dropped, and he was like, where did my scope go? I had one, I don't know what I did with that. And then drop back into my work again. So yeah, all those highlights and things like that. Let's go. I did see Mackenzie get a clutch as well. Was he using an MK? Or someone was using an MK, so nice. Let's go, boys. Thank you very much for the Wade West Wabbit. We are talking about fewer third-party showcases happening this year. If you don't know what this is the Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, if we do say so ourselves. We are talking about video game showcases, i.e. the big conferences that you get in the summer. And Geoff Keighley, the guy who has a vested interest in saying that Summer Games Fest will be the best conference, has basically said that there won't be as many conferences because his conference is that good. So take that with a pinch. But the point that I was making was that there was actually some evidence that showed that some of the smaller brands weren't getting the cut through that they wanted when it came to conferences. Yes, Devolver Digital might put their own conference on and they can control the narrative and show all their games, but because they don't have the wall-to-wall bangers that you would expect in a PlayStation conference or an Xbox conference or a PC game conference kind of thing, people go, okay, well, I'll turn for the first bit and I might tune back in towards the end, but the bit in the middle is just going to be filler, so I'm not that bothered. Or they just didn't turn in at all and said, I'll read about it later on. So it does kind of make sense as well. On the one hand, good sized developers, and what I mean by that is not the biggest studios out there, or not the ones that have invested mega money in conferences in the past, like your Ubisofts and your EAs and things like that. People like Capcom who have done quite a few broadcasts, but not necessarily setting the world on fire with their production value, or Koch Media, who we've mentioned a few times. Those guys might actually go, okay, we can probably look at maybe scaling up. Some of them, on the flip side, might be going, actually, do you know what, Koch Media, we could scale up, but because of the backlash last year, it's safer to just step away. So yeah, some of that could be right. So what Geoff Keighley is saying about there being less third-party showcases this year because everyone else is going to put their games into the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, or into the Summer Games Fest, or into a possibly unannounced PlayStation conference. I do feel like that could be possible. That said, take it with a pinch, because Geoff Keighley has a vested interest in making sure that you watch his conferences and not other ones. So there you go.
Well, fair play to him. He's carved this industry out himself, in terms of creating a space where he can charge a lot of money for people to be able to present stuff. Why shouldn't he?
Absolutely.
He's managed to create something that everyone looks forward to. I mean, how many times have we seen it over the years where people will go, who won E3? Why would people want their marketing messages there? This is exactly why they pulled the budget, like we've mentioned before, and decided to do it themselves. He's carved out a very good space for him. He's carved himself a very good business. Why shouldn't he be able to do it? I've got no grudges with him. He's made a very handsome living off doing that and being the go-to person when it comes to presenting stuff. He's a very good host. Like overall, he is. You pay for what you get. He's very good at being able to put together. He'll let you know that he's put the video package together.
Actually, I think you find that is a bit harsh. He didn't put the video package together. What he did was he sourced all the clips manually, clipped them out, put it together, fully edited, did the theme tune. He wrote the theme tune. He sung the theme tune, and then all of those credits. He didn't.
He's a very talented bloke, and he can charge a premium for it. Fucking hell, who wouldn't in the same marketing position as he is? But I do feel when it comes to stuff like this, I feel my personal opinion that he kind of sends the wrong message. I feel like he's trying to pry on potential marketing teams and editors. Like, for all we know, the guys that did the Koch one, they had no experience in putting together video packages or streaming, and just burped, by the way, sorry, are doing all of that stuff, and they've literally just got an intern in to go, mate, we don't know what we're doing, do you? And he's gone, I've streamed once from my PlayStation. They've gone, okay, that's more experience than us. Get yourself over on OBS and try and put us together something. And they've put it together. He definitely missed the mark, but I feel like this year might be the change in pace, because I feel like they would have gone back and the people around the table would have gone, do you know what? We can do better than this. We know we can do better than this. We have a loyal fan base out there that are expecting this from us. And I hope to God that they give themselves another chance. I hope to God that everything doesn't get put under one show, because I hate the who wins E3 stuff, because all the other games get lost. And I don't like that. I feel like there needs to always be an area for people to be able to shout about their own games, and being, like you said, stuck in between COD, FIFA, whatever other new battle royales coming out, or established IP. Just give everybody else the same opportunity to be able to have their 15 minutes in the sun.
Yeah, I don't know what I prefer. I don't know where I sit in terms of, if you can give me wall-to-wall bangers in the Summer Game Fest conference, the Xbox conference, and they're happening 3 days apart, the 9th and the 12th. And then let's just say, in theory, we got the PlayStation on the 15th. It's not going to be then, but let's just say we did. That would be 3 massive conferences in a week. I'd be all for that, because that kind of gives me a little bit of that E3 vibe. So I'm not necessarily against other brands folding up their third-party conferences to stack into those, because it feels
does
like...
mean you don't have to use as much of your time to watch the stuff, which is obviously time is a commodity. Like, a lot of people don't have that much time, so being able to wrap it up into 3-hour shows, I think that probably works for a lot of people. But I do feel that things get lost. I'd much rather it be spread out over 7 days, and then maybe someone can put something together to be able to strip it all down. I don't know.
The issue you get, though, is like Koch Media had a show that was too long. Geoff Keighley was basically saying shows that had 30 minutes of content but only had 2 games, so had about 12 minutes of content, had 18 minutes of filler, and it felt wanky. Koch's was like 2 hours, and it was like, ugh. And even Xbox, we're talking about them being great. Their E3 stuff was on point. Their Gamescom stuff was, here's a trebuchet, and it was shit because they didn't have anything, so they were talking for the sake of talking. I agree with the sentiment that I would like things to be all over and being able to pick it up. But then, does a conference matter? If you've only got 12 minutes of content, do you just put out 2 YouTube videos? Do you just put out some social videos? And then that's where I feel like it does dissolve into, it's not really a celebration. It almost feels like that chaff has to come with the wheat to make the conference be decent. You need to have some shit stuff just to fill it out to make sure that you've got a conference. So, yeah, I'm kind of split. I like the idea of things. It's almost like the conversation we were having the other day regarding Netflix and all the other subscription platforms, how everything breaks off into their own bits, but then someone finds a way of putting it all together again. So that everyone goes into that, and then suddenly something, usually cost, makes people want to pull away again. And that's what happens with E3. Oh, we'll all sell in shops and stuff like that. And actually, do you know, you do realise E3 is probably a bigger, better way to market. All right, let's all go to E3. Actually, you do realise E3 is super expensive, but all these YouTubers and stuff will do it for cheaper. Oh, let's all go to all YouTubers. Actually, you do realise that YouTube is best if you go to PewDiePie, okay, and he costs you £1 million. Okay, let's fuck off. You do realise there's something, and that's it. It just goes in stop and start. So, yeah, I do like everything pushing off into different directions, but I kind of feel like the consolidation bit that Summer Game Fest and first party conferences give is good. It's just the exploitative nature of, if you go into Summer Game Fest, Game Awards has a pre-show and a post-show like it's the Super Bowl, and it's like 6 days long. So your content's just gonna get lost. So I'm on board with Geoff Keighley and the Summer Game Fest stuff, as long as, and for someone that is a journalist and really good at creating content, I still don't feel like he's nailed his flow for either an award show or a video game conference yet. His video game conferences arguably are the best they've ever been, because they get better every year, but I still feel like for that to be a full satisfy the industry sort of stuff, I feel like the whole pacing of things need to be fixed. That said, if he does get all of the third parties putting their games into his show, that could help fix that. And it could just be a case of Summer Game Fest this year could be do you know what? Geoff Keighley wasn't lying. It wasn't just marketing spiel. This is actually on the money. And if that's the case, I hope that is the case, because I'd be on board for that. I mean, how easy is it to watch all the Summer's conferences? You just watch 3 and that's it. Jobs are good. Nice. Gagad says, good after morning, gents. Good after morning, Gagad.
Hello.
I did say that, right, the theme tune, sing the theme tune, as I was in that, which Tito has put rest in peace Dennis Waterman. I was actually going to say that as well. For those that may not have seen it or may not know who he is, because, you know, he obviously was an older bloke. Dennis Waterman passed away last week, and that was I think it was a Harry Enfield sketch where he'd write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, and it was like a tiny little Dennis Waterman, but it was based off the fact that there was a TV series that we used to watch all the time in my house. My dad was a big fan of Minder, which starred Dennis Waterman, and he starred in it, and he wrote the theme tune for it, and he sung the theme tune for it, which is where all of that comes from. So there you go. And he probably did the same thing. Little Britain, is that what it was? There you go. Yeah. So it was what's not Matt Lucas, David Walliams, wasn't it? Or was it? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Nice. Didn't really watch Little Britain. So there you go. But yeah, it's good. It's not good that he's gone, sadly. Bless him. Dennis Waterman, before my time. Oh, Gagad, I don't know if you saw my comment. It was in West's chat. Someone said, do you eat yogurt? And you was like, a little cup of bacteria? No, thank you. So I asked, do you eat mushrooms? Because I'm interested. So we'll pause the whole stream now, while Gagad can just let us know if he eats mushrooms.
Did we just become best friends?
A mushroom for debate. Can't tell my dad now.
Nezid 420, thank you very much for the follow. Fungus, you got to be joking. Nice, that's the correct answer. I was just checking whether it was going to be bacteria wasn't available, but fungus was. I was going to say, I know fungus is a more evolved thing than bacteria, but still, yeah.
Consistency, you love to see it.
Just not the consistency of mushrooms. Ugh, like slugs, mate. Yeah. He was in New Tricks as well. He was. Rest in peace, Dennis Waterman. I know you're a big fan of the show, and I know the family will still be watching it and stuff. But yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame. Anyway, we will move ahead though. On to this. Andy Robinson at VGC says, former Xbox exec says he's scared of Xbox Game Pass's potential impact. Ed Fries? We'll call him Fries because I like chips. Ed Fries compares the service's potential impacts to Spotify. To Spotify's, quote, people just don't buy songs anymore. Ooh. So former Microsoft exec Ed Fries, could be Fries, but like I said, Chips, nice. Has expressed concern over the potential impact the company's Game Pass subscription service could have on the games industry. Speaking as part of a wider interview with Xbox Expansion Pass, Fries, who was part of the original Xbox launch team before his departure in 2004, was asked what he would do were he still part of Microsoft's gaming team today. Fries didn't give an explicit answer, but said he was scared of the impact Xbox Game Pass could have should it become a dominant business model like Spotify has in the music industry. He also made broad claims about Spotify's impact on the music industry, some of which have been disputed by experts. Xbox Game Pass launched in June 2017 and has become central to Microsoft's gaming business, offering members access to over 100 titles for a monthly subscription fee. As of January 2022, Game Pass has over 25 million subscribers, according to Microsoft, so it still has a long way to go before it reaches the level of Spotify, 182 million, and Netflix, 222 million. In fact, it was recently estimated that subscription services account for just 4% of annual games revenue in Europe and North America, compared to 65% of global music revenues. Both Microsoft and PlayStation have said they don't believe subscriptions will ever be the dominant model in video games. However, former Microsoft exec Fries encouraged the platform holders to be careful over the business models they create. Quote, "The one thing that they're doing that makes me nervous is Game Pass," he said. "Game Pass scares me because there's a somewhat analogous thing called Spotify that was created for the music business. When Spotify took off, it destroyed the music business. It literally cut the annual revenue of the music business in half," the former music exec claimed. "It's made it so people just don't buy songs anymore. People don't buy songs on iPhone, for example, because why would you? They're all on your subscription service app. Apple said they're going to take away buying songs because no one's buying them anymore. So we have to be careful we don't create the same system in the game business. These markets are more fragile than people realize. I saw the games industry destroy itself in the early 80s. I saw the educational software business destroy itself in the mid-90s. They literally destroyed a multi-billion-dollar market in a few years. So Game Pass makes me nervous. As a customer, I love it. I love Spotify as a customer. I have all the songs I'd ever want. It's a great deal as a customer, but it isn't necessarily great for the industry." End quote. Fries went on to question whether it was possible for game developers to embrace subscription platforms to the extent seen in the music business. Quote, "At some point, it tipped and everything had to be on Spotify. The percentage of all games that are on Game Pass is still tiny, and there are a lot of games. 200 games a week come out on Steam, and more than that come out on mobile." End quote. Some of Fry's claims regarding Spotify were strongly disputed by music industry journalist Tim Ingham, editor of Music Business Worldwide, who told VGC that streaming's impact on the music industry had overall been hugely beneficial. Quote, "Spotify didn't cut the music business in half. Piracy did," he said. "Spotify and the cloud-based technology on which it relies actually gave music fans a more convenient, legal, and monetized alternative to piracy. And then, once consumers were comfortable with that, Spotify and its rivals performed a further miracle, upselling hundreds of millions of music to consumers to subscription via monthly billing, despite the fact that the same free alternative, music piracy, remains available in any browser." He added, "Arguably the biggest problem the music industry has with Spotify today is whether its free tier remains fit for purpose, because consumers have become so accepting of the paid subscription paradigm. And make no mistake, subscription as a model is loved by the modern music business. It's taken the whole industry back to commercial peaks many thought Napster and LimeWire had snuffed out for good." End quote. Ingham pointed out the figures from IFPI, which showed that since 2011, Spotify launched it. Do you know what? I'm going to stop. There's lots of stuff backwards and forwards. You get the idea. Spotify apparently killed the music industry, according to some people, not so much according to others. The worry is that Game Pass could have the same sort of impact. Obviously, there's a huge debate in there. And just to wrap that final comment back up into the original subject line. So the original subject line is that people just don't buy songs anymore because they've got Spotify. Mm-hmm. That still is valid. So that personal person was that music person, should I say, was saying that people don't buy music, but they weren't buying music anyway. They're actually putting music back into it. Well, that's kind of a flaw for this comparison, because people are buying video games. It's a lot harder to pirate video games. I mean, it's not if you're on PC and things like that and so on, but if you're on a console, it's a lot harder to pirate video games than it is. So having something like Game Pass come along and give you the option for, air quotes, free video games every month in return for a subscription, you are getting rid of a revenue stream that is already there. So, Game Pass is something we should be scared of. Apparently, what are your thoughts, Bib?
Yeah, I think it definitely falls into a small trap. I do agree with a large section of what you said there. But I do think there's a small caveat in there as well of the fact that people aren't buying music anymore. It's a discussion actually upstairs that we had this morning. I don't know if you've seen it over at TikTok, but their managers for these world-renowned artists like Ed Sheeran and Florence and the Machine and stuff like that, they're actually actively asking their talent to go onto TikTok to make videos to promote their songs.
It's not even asking, it's demanding, isn't it? It's like 2 or 3 videos a week kind of thing.
Yeah, just to get their songs in the algorithm and stuff like that. And the artists are like, you're taking the piss. I'm literally like Ed Sheeran's probably the number one artist on Spotify that has his music streamed every single second of every single day. Or I don't think there's one song on Ed Sheeran's page that doesn't have at least 100 million streams. So he doesn't need to be able to do that, but because people aren't going out and buying his album and they're not getting the full... It's like when you buy a video game. You buy a video game at full price from either the people who are publishing the game, or like from Game or Shop 2, the game collection. They're not getting the money directly. Like obviously they would have to go out and buy in bulk from these publishers anyway. But if you go to sell the game on at second hand, they get none of that money. It's very similar to this. Like people aren't go out and buying singles or not go out and buying albums. Like I'm part of the problem. However, my counteract is I tend to go out if I really, really like an album. Like when we get paid in the next couple of days, I'm going to buy the new Blossoms record on vinyl. That's how I consume my media if I'm in the house. But if I'm out and about, I use Spotify. Like I pay my subscription to Spotify. I'm quite happy with that. It's super convenient. I know that they don't get all the profits from that, but that's not my problem. That's for them to be able to try and bridge the gap between Spotify and the record companies. That isn't my... They're giving me a service. I'm going to pay for it. Similar to what we're getting with Game Pass. Somebody somewhere has created something where they've gone to whoever it is and said, we'll have your game on here. Here's a bucket load of cash, and this is how much we're going to charge our consumer. It's not my problem how the money gets to anybody else, as long as my money is going to the people at Microsoft, and therefore they let me play their video games. It's a problem that I think publishers, developers, and everybody else in between has, because it's much more lucrative, I think, for them in the long run to be able to sell their individual game to me. But whilst everybody else is having an experience on Game Pass, they're probably thinking, well, people might play our game quicker if we get it on there, rather than wait for it to come on Game Pass, which genuinely, that is a lot of people's mentality now. There's a lot of people who won't play games because they know at some point it's going to come to Game Pass or whatever the PlayStation alternative is going to be in the next couple of weeks. That's just the way we're now. That's how we're built to expect things. Like we expect an album on day one to go to Spotify, and then we start streaming it. We expect games at some point, if it's not a first party title, to go onto Game Pass, and we'll wait for it to go on there. Again, much more lucrative if we go out and buy those things from the bands, the artists, or from the people who are publishing the game. But that's not our problem. It's for everybody else to try and work out solutions as to try and make it as cheap as possible for us to be able to get their media.
I do feel like we should be scared of Game Pass and the potential impact it has, but not in the way that this article has suggested. I feel like transitioning to subscription models is the future anyway. We've been doing that on everything for the last 20 years. Like you can subscribe to fucking food deliveries. You can subscribe to, I mean, you can't, I don't know if you can in the UK, but America has DoorDash Ultra or whatever it is, where you subscribe to that and you get a certain amount of takeaways and stuff and so on.
We do it at Graze, HelloFresh. We've got that kind of stuff over here.
Ocado, Dollar Shave Club exists, even though we don't have dollars, but we do have shaves. But you know that exists over here as well. The T-shirt deliveries.
Amazon, if you want fucking toilet roll or whatever, you can do subscriptions on Amazon. Like there is subscription models out there. I mean, the biggest one we're not talking about, Netflix. Like they tend to have a load of films that don't come out on day one from the theaters for a specific reason. We end up getting films maybe 2 or 3 years old on there, unless they're making it themselves, which arguably the last couple of years, the films that Netflix have made haven't been that good. but the subscriptions are going up, which is why a lot of people are leaving Netflix. But that's people voting with the wallets. I don't want to watch Friends again for the 7,000th time. Do you know what I mean? Like it is the way it is. People only want to continue to pay for stuff if they're getting their money's worth. And I definitely get my money's worth with Game Pass, and I definitely get my money's worth with Spotify. How they distribute that money towards the people who are there having their services host on whichever platform, that's none of my business. That's for them lot to try and broker whatever deals that they need to do. It's just super convenient for everybody to have all this streaming software. But like I say, it could be potentially a slippery slope. But again, not our concern at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think my issue isn't the fact that it's moving to a digital sort of environment and that there's less money going around. My issue isn't that. Obviously, that is an issue. Like Bibi says, that's an industry issue. The industry will sort industry things. Do you really think the industry cares about... and the industry is the industry at large, not necessarily certain brands or certain people within that. The industry wants to make money. It doesn't care about whether it's necessarily the best way for you to get that. As long as you're having something that you're okay with, that you will buy it again, and they're making a shitload of money, the industry is fine. So you sort your economics out. I am not bothered. The thing that I am bothered about, though, is the fact that if we do transition to something like a Game Pass model, it's the same conversation we've had in the past, is like, how do we get revenue from Game Pass if PlayStation suddenly have PS Plus Premium is a proper Game Pass competitor, and we have Game Pass? How does a game get its revenue from there? If I want to release a free-to-play game on Game Pass, which I would usually release it as a 25 quid indie game or something, it's got an hour's worth of playtime for it, how do I get 25 quid's worth of revenue? Is it just the download and the install? Is it from the amount of minutes played? Is it from recommendations off of my play, or what? And that's where the issues for something like that comes in. This is not an issue that's prevalent on console or PC yet, but it is an issue that has become prevalent in the mobile scene, thanks to the likes of Apple Arcade and Google's Play thing. The fact that they were originally giving you revenue based on the amount of time that people spent, not just in-app purchases, but the amount of time people spent in the app. That's how you would get your monthly revenue. So games that are your Farmville, your press and come back in 30 seconds and do something else and play it every minute and come back in an hour and come back again. Games like that were like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. But other games that have spent a good chunk of time developing a cool, detailed, deep narrative that you play through and you go, that was wonderful, literally life-changing experience, they'll get like 48 pence, and it's like, what the fuck? So that's where my issues are. It's not the potential impacts. The industry, if the industry's scared of the future, then it's not really in a fit state, because the future is coming, whether you want it to get here or not. Tell Blockbuster that. They were probably yeah, fuck the future. We're happy selling all these DVD. Oh, no. So the future is coming, whether you're ready for it or not. That is not what I'm scared of. We should always embrace the future and changes like that. But my issue is how we embrace the future whilst not losing the content, not necessarily about how people can continue to make money out of it. And that's where my focus is. Thank you for coming to Mentor Talk. Twitch Talk, actually. Twitch Talk. Okay, we'll move forward into a little bit of a deeper conversation. We'll not stick on this one too much, just because we've covered all these areas, and yeah, we don't want to spend too much time on it. We do want to keep the focus on it, but enough to make sure that the conversation starts. But at the end of the day, it's we want to talk about easier stories on the scoop. TED Talk, you called? No, TED Not. Sorry. Justin Reeve at The Gamer, I think it was The Gamer, has this article, says Reggie Fils-Aimé. This is the annoying thing. The Gamer doesn't have, it does. I was going to say it doesn't have the logo at the top. There's a website. I don't know which one it is. It doesn't have the logo at the top. It might be Polygon or something like that. So, like, once you clicked into the article, you can't actually see where you are on the website, which is really bad for UI and UX interactions, because users need some sort of grounding. God damn. So Reggie Fils-Aimé discusses workplace abuse, delayed adoption of online play at Nintendo. So the former executive talks about some of the biggest topics in the games industry. We'll jump into the article. It says the former president and chief operating officer at Nintendo of America, Reggie Fils-Aimé, recently gave his thoughts on the reports of workplace abuse at Nintendo, calling the allegations troubling and describing, quote, I do believe it's the role of company leadership to set a culture in the organization and to set the tone, end quote. The former executive also explained why Nintendo lagged so far behind Sony and Microsoft when it came to the adoption of online play. The news comes from a whole series of interviews held in advance of the upcoming book by Fils-Aimé, Disrupting the Game. These covered several different topics, including unionization, contract work, labor relations, and of course the delayed adoption of online play at Nintendo. So addressing the subject of workplace abuse at Nintendo, the former exec said that I made it a priority to have a culture within the organization that was welcoming, that promoted all the workers that we had, and so these reports are really troubling, end quote. Fils-Aimé added that, quote, what I would say today is that every organization needs to look hard at its employment practices and to make sure that they are being progressive, that they are being welcoming to all their employees, and whether they're full-time or not, and to make sure that they've got the policies and principles in place to have a welcoming work environment, and to make sure that there are no systemic issues going on. Fils-Aimé described how, quote, you can't be directly involved in every single issue, but noted that having openness and having every employee in the organization that can come to you and raise an issue, that's certainly the culture that I advocated while I was at Nintendo, end quote. The former exec went on to describe why systemic change is important. There's only so much. And do you know what? I'm going to stop for a second because it's good stuff. It's good stuff, but I also feel like it's obvious stuff. He's saying how he's done stuff right, which I feel like we've spoken about at length before. Being open, being aware, being encouraging, and helping those that need help is something that we should all talk about. So I'm going to skip forward past this. He's talking about unionization. This one is more technical about the game stuff, so this is where we'll jump back in. So talking about the delayed adoption of online play at Nintendo, Fils-Aimé said that quote, first, Nintendo's business philosophy has always been to do things differently, to innovate in ways that play to the company's strength versus playing to the strength of others. And so, for example, when it came to multiplayer, Nintendo really excelled in what we called internally couch play, sitting next to someone playing Mario Kart, sitting next to someone playing a variety of different games like Wii Sports. It's called couch co-op, and it's not just a phrase that you had internally, mate. So out, honestly. Quotes. No, it's not quite. End quote, should I say. The former exec noted that in order to do online multiplayer, the company really needed to think about what's the new type of game, what are the different types of experiences that we're going to need to create in order to now excel in that form of play. And candidly, it took the company a while to think that through, to come up with something that they believed would be fundamentally different and add value in a new way. The second thing I would highlight is that culturally, the company didn't see a huge opportunity in online. Reggie Fils-Aimé remarked. It was an area that the Americas and Europe constantly were trying to educate the company in Japan about the value of online play, investing in the online infrastructure which needed to be done in order for the experience to be a positive one. Fils-Aimé went on to describe how this is where Microsoft invested so significantly and it became their competitive advantage. It still is today, I would argue, in terms of their connected gameplay. It was a constant area of push by the western parts of the company to encourage the development and the investment in the infrastructure, and I'm sure that conversation continues today. So there you go. Nintendo didn't think online gaming was really worth investigating or investing in, whereas Microsoft and Sony did, which is why they absolutely flew ahead. Not really a surprising fact. Anyone that's played a console online versus their Nintendo Switch device online will have probably seen that the Nintendo Switch's experience is not always crap, but it's a lot more patchier. Unless you're on my Sky, then it's always crap. You know, it's just what it is. But it's nice to have actually someone putting that into words, where he said, they used the word candidly. See if I can see it where it was. No, I can't actually find it, but it was the candid bit, like the fact that it was just basically going, yeah, we fucked up. It took us a while, and candidly, it took the company a while to think that through, to come up with something that they believe was fundamentally different and add value in a new way. Like that whole segment before and after, saying that they thought, oh yeah, we don't really get it. We'll have a think about it. We'll take some time, and meanwhile, everything is going online. It's just baffling. But I suppose that's just a cultural significance. You've got Europe and America highly on one thing, whereas Japan, and rightly so in some elements, were like, actually, you do realize couch co-op is the best way to play video games, so we're going to stick with that, which I agree. Couch co-op is the best way to play video games. However, I'm not 12 anymore, so that's not necessarily the best use of my time. Anyway, babe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, couch co-op works for a lot of games, but similar to how we've had to use Parsec to get around these kind of things, like playing Street Fighter 4 and our Masters of the League series and stuff like that. Like, we've had to manipulate systems to make it so that like we're playing couch co-op, but we obviously not. We're in two different locations. Like, I understand from Nintendo's standpoint that they are always behind when it comes to creating infrastructures and what they put into their consoles. And they do extremely well without the newest and latest technology, but there does become a point where they don't have party chat on your Nintendo Switch, despite them having an online infrastructure. You had to use your mobile phone for that. Like, that's just bizarre. You've given us 3/4 of the tools to be able to get into stuff. Like, I remember we talked about that fantastic Christmas where me and you were just playing Fortnite constantly when Star Wars was in there, and we used the party chat within Fortnite itself. So I had my headphones plugged into my Nintendo Switch, and obviously you was using the PlayStation, just the native internal PlayStation party, not the party chat that comes with your PlayStation, but the party chat involved in the actual game, because they didn't have and we didn't have a way of being able to do that while I was playing on two separate consoles. So they are always a step behind, but I don't think it's hampered them. I don't think it's got to the point where they are so far behind they can't claw it back. I just feel like they've gone in a different direction, which has made them a shitload of money, and they'll be it's one of the best selling consoles ever. Yeah. Like, what they've done with the Nintendo Switch to bring it back after the Wii U, like, it's genuinely a miracle that they've managed to get where they are. But that's not through lack of understanding. They've literally just doubled down on the things that they do extremely well, which is making fantastic consoles and fantastic games. Everything else is an added extra that they've just not thought about. They've concentrated on what is going to make them the most money and people are going to like about those consoles. And I can't find a way to criticize them for that. I can just criticize them for the things that they've not put the energy into, which it benefits me and benefits the other people who want to play that console. But in terms of selling those bloody things, yeah, you can't get a hold. Like last year, the year before, when Animal Crossing and Ring Fit Adventure came out, you genuinely couldn't find either of those things as well as the consoles, regardless of whether or not it was a normal one or a Switch Lite. They were just non-existent, and if there was, they were being scalped at a stupidly high price. So who are we to criticize their practices when they're making money hand over fist?
Graham, baby. That's who we are. I thought you knew that. I mean, I've got nameplates if you want. There you go.
Cheers, mate.
Bibby at we've got Bibino on Twitter. Graham _day. There you go. That's who we are. That's who we are.
That's who we are.
Yeah. So delayed adoption of online play. It's. I still feel like they need to fix it, but like you say, they absolutely nailed it. I mean, Iceman does have a good point. Couch co-op fell flat during the pandemic. Yeah, okay, that not having an online thing, how well did that do for you? Yeah. I mean, luckily they had gone forward with enough to have an online infrastructure that would allow them to thrive during the pandemic. They were one of the big wins with Animal Crossing in the pandemic. But if they'd have stuck with couch co-op and not gone through, imagine that would have been their blockbuster moment. They would have just gone. That would have been the end. Like, okay, we're selling games. Okay, play with your friends. That's illegal, mate. Okay, just buy them and wait for a couple of years? I don't think so. Okay, fuck. So yeah, I mean, they are getting there. They were a bit slow off the mark, but when they're making as much money, what was it? There was one of those like sales things. It was like their biggest selling quarter, like back to back or something, for like fucking.
They outsold the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. I mean, it's not that difficult because you can't frigging buy them, but
I just mean in terms of like their actual within themselves, like their biggest, like they've sold more quarter on quarter, like fucking every quarter for like the last 11 years or something stupid like that. Maybe it's not that, but it was something of that ilk. Like basically Nintendo, they're doing good shit, so they're not really caring. But Like, it shows you that's the thing though. You do have to have a niche, a USP, and that is what the Switch has compared to any other console. It does have USPs, but you also, that bit of diversification. If they didn't have the online elements to diversify their USPs as well, so yeah, stay agile, but also keep your beliefs. Okay, we'll move ahead. Speaking about keeping your beliefs, do you know, beliefs are things that you've had with you for a long time, that you've had for years. Even though they may remain dormant, they could come back. And it's a fucking tedious link for me to jump straight into this article from LIANG at The Gamer. It says Capcom may revisit dormant games. That was a muddy segue. I know. I'm tired. There are some famous names in its back catalogue. There are some fecking famous names in its back catalogue. I mean, I'm happy to sit here watch Capcom making basically video games for Bibe and Monster Hunter fans. Okay, we'll jump back in. So Capcom is one of the most famous games companies in the business. The Japanese developer and publisher was founded in 1983, so it's one of the veterans and is responsible for some iconic video game titles. These include such classics as Street Fighter, Mega Man, Devil May Cry, and Resident Evil, to name a few. But while the biggest names continue to be supported with sequels and modern releases, some of Capcom's titles have lain dormant for many years. These include classics such as Onimusha, Okami, Power Stone, and Lost Planet. And now it looks like Capcom could be considering reviving some of these. Where the fuck is Dino Crisis in that list?
Exactly.
Fuck's sake. In a call with investors, Capcom was asked about its dormant IP and if it had plans for them, to which the response was that we are currently putting together plans for our pipeline based on demand data from the market. Going forward, we will continue to take customers' wishes into consideration while devising our title lineup, they continued. Some series in Capcom's back catalogue have not received new entries for some time. This includes Beautiful Joe, which last saw a new title in 2005, the hardcore fighting fans' favourite of Darkstalkers, which hasn't had a remake or remaster or any new entries since 1997. Similarly, the 3D arena fighter Power Stone hasn't been updated since 2006. Third-person shooter Lost Planet saw its third entry in the series, released it back in 2013. The side-scrolling beat-em-up Final Fight, which was a huge commercial success in the arcades in the late 80s, has been dormant since the 3D Final Fight Streetwise was released in 2006 on the PS2 and Xbox, although the package of Final Fight Double Impact dropped in 2010. The PS2 classic series Onimusha hasn't received a remake or new entry, although a HD remaster of the first game, Onimusha Warlords, was released in early 2019 for various platforms. Okay, I'm disappointed. We're almost at the end of this cycle, and I kept going because I was waiting for Dino Crisis, and it doesn't mention it even once. Capcom is hard at work on a completely new series, with the company announcing the title Pragmata in 2020, its first totally original game in a decade. Pragmata is set for PS5, Xbox Series X and PC in 2023. Meanwhile, fans will be keeping their fingers crossed for whichever series they have a particular fondness for to receive the revival treatment. Yeah, like Dino Crisis, fuckers. Honestly, I could not tell you what Onimusha looks like. I mean, I know there's probably a lot of people that could tell me, or Okami, or Power Stone, for that. I probably will remember Power Stone if I've seen it. Lost Planet, obviously, I know. But, like, fucking Dino Crisis! Article from Liu Kang. Cool. Lu Hai Liang. Different.
Onimusha was a class game, but if it isn't Dino Crisis, I know it's been failed to be mentioned in this, but that's just not reading the room. Like, they genuinely would be making money hand over fist.
I have seen Onimusha. I've seen Onimusha. I know what it is.
But we saw today, I've retweeted it earlier, that the Resident Evil 3 play at PS5 update is coming soon. Within the next 7 days, people have already started getting the notification to get it ready. Like, I can't wait for this shit. Do you realise how much money would be made from a Dino Crisis reboot? Like, the amount of people that would have passed it up the first time, that now have got into these survival horror type games, and then they realise that there's a Resident Evil alternative where they are on an island full of dinosaurs, so it's Jurassic Park, but they are dinosaurs with fucking guns and shit rather than zombies. Mate, they've just not read the room, in my opinion, with this. If it isn't that, I mean, if it is, fantastic. Everyone's going to be extremely happy. But literally, when this article was being shared yesterday, not via us, but on social media, when I was reading through people were going ballistic, saying like, "Where is it? We need it. How have they overlooked it?" Like, I don't know if it's a license issue, because I know they renewed the trademark for it maybe last year or the year before, so it is still there and available. It just needs to be fucking made now.
Yeah, so for those, we did cover the news article at the time. It may have been 18 months, it could be 24 months-ish. I don't know, it could be sooner, more recent than that. But Capcom renewed the IP license, copyright, or whatever it was, for Dino Crisis. So naturally, when something gets renewed, everyone goes, "Oh, they're interested in that. They're renewing it, so they want to make a new one." And it started to get a little bit of traction, which is not the case. It's like, imagine having the rights to something, and someone goes, "That thing that you've made that people really like, that's actually worth a fortune. Do you want to keep it?" Well, yeah, okay, well there you go. That's all it is renewing that. A modicum of cost to sort something out so that you can keep your own stuff for yourself rather than let someone else pick it up. Job's good. So yeah, Dino Crisis. Yes, please. Yes, please. I mean, we're in a world where survival games are huge. And dinosaurs are huge. We're just about to get Jurassic World Extinction or whatever it's called. Ark Survival Evolved has been a massive dinosaur game forever. So just, give us a Dino Crisis. That's all you need to do, Capcom. That's it. And then I'll start playing your games again. Nice. Winner, Dino Dinner. Let's go. Dino Crisis. Never heard of that game before, says JMK. What? Are you serious?
I'll be joking, right?
Dinosaurs have always been huge, to be honest. That's a good point. Good point. Although, what are the little chickeny ones like? To be fair, Velociraptor. That's like 8 foot tall in the films. They're like chicken sized. They're like the name of it, Velociraptor. So they made them bigger. They're tiny. They're actually they would go against that. Yeah. I can't. That's not the ones I was thinking of though. I was thinking of the ones from Jurassic Park 2, 3. I can't remember the little things that compies. That's it. Compies. There we go. Compies. Compi. On that, is it Compsognathus or something like that? I'm gonna have to look at that now. Compsognathus. Oh, the dinosaur nerd is back in the room. Yeah, let's go. Fucking. There you go. Anyway, on that horribly awkward bombshell, we are going to finish. Me and Babe are going to disappear into the wilderness like a Compsognathus. Okay, you get the idea. I was joking. Give us a 2 Rock remake though. Oof. Yes, I'll take that. I mean, I'd rather Dino Crisis, but oof. We are going to disappear. Thank you, everyone that's been involved in the stream. Nezzy and Mackenzie for the follows. West for the big old raid. We appreciate all that support. I nearly shouted out Gagad, but I'm not shouting out his 21-month sub because that was yesterday. So his generosity only lasts 24. I'm not joking. We appreciate that from yesterday as well. Bound to be due a second loot drop now. Yeah. No comment. But yes, probably. Hashtag fixed. Hashtag rigged. Exclamation mark rigged. This is bullshit rigged. Okay, we are going to disappear, as mentioned. We appreciate everyone for dropping in for the stream. Everyone that stuck around from the raids and just joins us anyway. We appreciate all your support. We are going to be back tomorrow with a double stream day. We'll have the scoop and some PUBG in the evening. Word has it that the Triggermeister himself, Mr. I Lotus UK, might even be in. So the last ever chasing crates with mates still hasn't happened yet, potentially.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to say he's definitely there, but, maybe. So do feel free to join us for those streams. Before any of that happens, though, Mr. Bib, is there what you'd like to add?
Yes, again, thank you very much to each and every one of you that have joined us for today's episode of The Scoop. If you want to help shape tomorrow's show and the remaining 3 shows this week, there's 2 ways you can do so. First of all, find us on social media. It is at Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms, or alternatively, get involved with our Discord. If you go into the description below and any of our on-demand services. I just lost my train of thought there completely, but you know where to find us. It's at Ice Cream Upload across all major social media platforms, or get involved with our Discord. All we need from you is a URL plus your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
10 a.m.
Ish. Big old ish.
Big old ish. Do feel free to stick around, though. We are going to drop a raid on one of our friends. I just had a quick scan through, and Miss Kira, Eric, maybe. We'll see. Bob Duck and Weave is playing Fortnite, though.
I was thinking that.
Oh, okay, Bob Duck and Weave it is. Do feel free to drop in. You don't have to stick around. Obviously, you came over from a PUBG stream. You might not be interested in Fortnite, but Bob Duck and Weave...
You should be.
You should be. You fucking should be. Bob Duck and Weave is a good content creator, UK guy, really friendly, really creative. He actually does a lot for streamers as well, by the way. He makes music for content creators to use free of charge. Is it called Stream Site? I think it is. It's something along those lines. Do feel free. He often wears a t-shirt with the branding on because it's his own brand. Do feel free to drop into the stream, show him some love. Even if you drop in and drop out, it'd be just nice to pass over that. And you get some sprinkles for going over as well, which is our channel points currency that you can do. So nice. But that's it from us. Have yourselves a beautiful day. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. ish. Until then, stay frosty.
Stay frosty.